At exactly 3:25 p.m., a security camera captured something no one could explain. A family of three, moving in silence, back and forth, in and out of their home. No conversation, no urgency, no emotion, just repetition. Almost like they were following instructions no one else could hear. Hours later, they would drive into the mountains of Oklahoma and vanish. They left behind their phones, their wallets, their IDs, their dog, and $32,000 in cash. Untouched, no signs of a struggle, no goodbye, no explanation, just gone. This is the story of the Jamison family disappearance, a case so strange that even experienced investigators couldn't piece it together, because this wasn't just a disappearance. It was a series of events, each more unsettling than the last. A family that seemed to be unraveling, a note filled with anger and confusion, and behavior that no one has ever been able to explain. Even today, this case remains unsolved, and the deeper you go into it, the less it makes sense. Bobby Jamison was known as a quiet man. He kept to himself, didn't draw attention. His wife, Sherilyn, was different, more outspoken, more emotional. Together, they were raising their 6-year-old daughter, Madison. To outsiders, they looked like a normal family, trying to get by. But behind closed doors, things were far from perfect. There were financial struggles, tension in the marriage, and according to some reports, a growing sense of paranoia. Sherilyn had told people that their home felt wrong, that strange things were happening. She even claimed that it might be haunted, whether that was fear, stress, or something else entirely. No one knows. But by October 2009, the Jamison family had made a decision. They wanted to leave it all behind, start over, far away from everything. Their plan was simple: buy a piece of land deep in the mountains of Oklahoma, somewhere quiet, isolated, a place where they could rebuild their lives. They packed their truck, took cash with them, a lot of it, $32,000. It was everything they had, enough to buy land, and disappear into a new life. But before they ever made it there, something changed, something no one could see, because just before they left, a security camera recorded their final known moments, and what it shows is deeply unsettling. For nearly an hour, the family moved between their house and their truck, back and forth. Over and over again, they carried items, then brought them back inside, then took them out again. It didn't make sense. There was no clear purpose, no urgency, no communication. They barely even looked at each other. It was as if they were disconnected from each other, from reality. Some investigators later suggested they could have been under the influence of something. Others believed it pointed to paranoia, or even fear. But fear of what? There was no one else seen on the footage, no signs of the threat, and yet their behavior suggested something was very wrong. That footage would become one of the most disturbing pieces of evidence in the entire case, because it raised a question that has never been answered. What were they reacting to? And what they brought with them only made things worse. Not long after they disappeared, their truck was found, abandoned, deep in a remote area, surrounded by wilderness. There were no signs of a struggle, no damage to the vehicle, nothing that suggested violence. But inside the truck, everything was still there. Their phones, their wallets, their personal belongings, and the money, all $32,000, still sitting there, untouched. If someone had attacked them, why leave the cash? If they planned to run away, why leave behind everything they would need? And then there was something else. Their dog, locked inside the truck, alive but severely dehydrated. It had been there for days, which meant one thing. Whatever happened to the Jamison family, they didn't plan on coming back. As investigators searched for answers, they found something deeply disturbing. A handwritten note, 13 pages long. It wasn't organized. It wasn't calm. It was chaotic, emotional, angry. The note was written by Bobby, and it was directed at his wife. Line after line, filled with rage, insults, accusations. At times, it didn't even make sense. Some parts felt disconnected from reality, as if the person writing it wasn't thinking clearly. To investigators, it raised serious concerns. Was Bobby experiencing paranoia? Was there something happening inside the home that no one else knew about? Or was this simply the result of stress? Pushed too far? The note didn't answer questions. It only created more. But the most chilling part of the story was still to come. For years, there were no answers. Search efforts came up empty. Leads went nowhere. The case slowly faded into silence until 2013, when everything changed. Hunters, moving through a remote wooded area, made a discovery: human remains. When authorities arrived, they confirmed the worst. It was the Jamison family, all three of them, together, lying in the wilderness, not far from where their truck had been found. But even in death, the mystery remained. There were no clear signs of violence, no bullet wounds, no obvious trauma, no weapons, nothing that clearly explained how they died. It was as if they had simply collapsed and never got back up. Over time, investigators and experts proposed different theories. Some believed it could have been a murder-suicide. Others thought they may have gotten lost and died from exposure. But those explanations didn't fit everything. Not the money, not the note, not the strange behavior caught on camera, and not the fact that all three bodies were found together. Then there were more unusual theories. That something psychological had taken hold of the family, that fear or paranoia had driven them into the wilderness. But again, there was no clear proof. Every theory answered one question and created three more. In the end, this case remains unsolved. A family that walked away from their home, toward a new life, and vanished. No clear motive, no clear cause, just fragments of story that refuse to come together. Because sometimes the most disturbing mysteries aren't the ones filled with violence. They're the ones filled with silence. And the Jamison family left behind nothing but questions